lighting everything up here on YouTube while Jesse gets. You got it up on Facebook Live real fast because I mean you had the Makeup with Stephanie part on there. When on if you go back and look on Facebook Live, you must. Are you working faster at getting that on or something?
I usually have it written. I just have to rewrite it.
Yeah, you must get it. I mean, it almost was like it was simultaneous on there. Uh, Going back and forth. No, Super Tuesday's today, Election Day. Please get out and vote while he's doing that. You have a little tad less than 3 hours. If you get to the polls by 8 o'clock, you can get that done all across the board as we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll be on every Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 on the Mighty Met KMET, where we bring you the local news with a flash and a flare that nobody else can. Join the best show on radio, IA Newswire with Stephanie and Roy, 536 on the Mighty Met KMET. That was a little intro check, sound check, Dipite. You'll have to send that one to Sean because we did that on Facebook or YouTube, so that maybe we'll try one at the bottom of the hour. Trying a little intro sound check. As we're on, as we're checking in here on a Taco Tuesday, maybe a little terrific, little bit of fire rolling out. The folks in Norco got caught with a little brush fire that was had a lot of people evacuated, but I think they've got that pretty much under control. Obviously, today's Super Tuesday. Along with California, 13 other states are voting today from the presidential primary on down to local races and everything, and we've covered a lot of them here. The main thing has been the school bonds in this election cycle out here locally. So we'll touch on some more of that stuff, rocking and rolling on the habit. Did you find any video on the Norco fire, or do we have any of that? Let me know. Just give me a thumbs up when you have some video up on the Norco fire. Yeah, let's see if they got like one of the latest news reports on what's going on from the Norco fire that broke out today there on that. So, yeah, I think it looked like a potential, especially with the winds going on, the potential to really get nasty, but I think they knocked it down. I don't recall yet or hearing if they had any property damage or any houses were threatened, but I don't know if any structures were on fire on that. So that was another big thing that was going on today in the Inland Empire, along with the, as I said, the voting. The one thing a lot of people don't know is you can drop off your ballot at any polling location in California, even if you're not registered there or what. You can do that. They will give you what's called a provisional ballot, and that will be set aside and counted later. You can drop off an absentee ballot anywhere at any polling place in California, and they will forward it to the appropriate agency where it is to be counted. You can, even if they're postmarked today and they're received within 3 days, they will be counted. So get out there and get those ballots in. One of the great deals to democracy or representative republic, or just flat out your freedom resides on the power to vote. So I think Jesse's got some video rolled up for the aforementioned Norco fire. So if you got that, let it roll.
Fire in Norco. That's at least that's what it's called.
That is called the Man Fire. The fire started in the dry Santa Ana River bottom and spread to at least 100 acres. The Riverside County fire prompted mandatory evacuation orders. Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez is live in Norco with the very latest developments.
Stop right
Leticia.
there. I just wanted to, fire in the river bottom. Now, how do you think that this started? I mean, just taking a wild guess. I wonder if it's the aforementioned vagrants and homeless down there camping in there got it lit up. But go ahead and roll the rest of the report.
Well, I can tell you those evacuation orders still remain in place, although it appears that firefighters are gaining the upper hand on the man fire. Most of their firefighters now focused in the Santa Ana River bottom where the fire erupted this morning. Go ahead and take a look at what the scene looked like just before noon as flames swept the river bottom and threatened the NORCO community. The wildland fire quickly grew from 15 acres to over 100 acres, driven predominantly by strong wind gusts. Now in the air, helicopters dropped bucket after bucket of water on the blaze below. And on the ground, you saw hand crews and bulldozers cutting those fire lines in order to try to gain some containment. Now, we have no containment numbers as of yet. Now, in the nearby neighborhood, firefighters also staged for structure protection with 500 homes under threat. We saw about 1,500 residents, we're told, were forced to evacuate as the fire came within distance of their homes and animals. Now, NORCO is known as Horsetown, USA. That's because of the number of horses and property that are here. Neighbors we saw were jumping in to help each other in order to evacuate horses by bringing some of those empty horse trailers.
And I go outside and I look down the trail and I'm like, oh man, the nursery's on fire. But when I started to look really down where it was on the other side of that house. And I mean, it was like, you couldn't see in here. It was pitch black. Yeah.
The winds are not as strong as they were earlier, so that's given us a little bit of leadway. We have 3 helicopters that are constantly working the fire, doing their bucket drops of water, and then more boots on the ground over the last hour that arrived. So things are looking a lot better.
And one of the things we've seen is kind of that smoke diminishing, which was really thick in the area. We've seen it diminish. Obviously, still a lot of smoke just from them trying to put out those remnants of fire. Again, the evacuation remains in place as they continue to just kind of tap out those fires. We're looking at 2 different locations, one just off to the right of me up on the hill here, and then one below right here where they seem to be focusing most of their firefighters at this moment. We'll continue to watch this fire and bring you the latest and updates in later newscasts.
Yeah, that's. It looks like good. It looks like there wasn't much property damage out there on the scene. Lauren's first one to put that together. They're the Richard Petty style hats that I've been wearing on that. So a good call on that. Noticing that the king of stock car racing. Made popular back in the 70s when he would wear the cowboy hats on that. But I know it's a good thing that they did get it under control. It seems like, or it appears that there was no property damage in the area and I hope they got all the horses out and all that, because they can get out of control and panicky when in situations like that. So hopefully there's good news on that front on the way, that we're not having a situation where they were doing that, and it's great, like you said, guys, residents all around there got out their horse trailers and offered to help and rescue the animals and stuff, because it's Horsetown, USA. There might even be more horses in NORCO than people of that and going on. It's been quite a community down there. One of the last vestiges of the rural lifestyle left in the Inland Empire, at least out in this greater area of that's still kind of like it was back in the day, as we say. So we're glad that's all going on and taken care of. No, I just wanted to finish up a little bit more on the voting. You still have till 8 o'clock to get to the polls. Even if you could be up in Eureka, California and live here. You can walk in there and ask a ballot and they will give it to you. Or if you've got an absentee ballot, you can turn it in at any polling place. So make sure you do that because we do have a lot of stuff that's going on in going across. And we talked about the bonds, a statewide bond, and the fraud that was going on that California Republican Taxpayers Association for a $15 billion tax increase. Yeah, right. I mean, it just goes to show you the depths that they will sink to on doing that. Hopefully, the voters of California today will do the right thing in that area, and because if we keep on this route to doing that, we're going to be in deep Bandini. One thing that was pointed out, Trump's over 70. Now everybody that's left in the Democratic nomination, Pocahontas, Mini Mike, Biden, Bernie, the main players, because the others are pretty much all dropped out, are all over 70 years old. And besides Elizabeth Warren, well, they're all white. Elizabeth Warren's the only woman left. So with all the caterwauling and stuff about, of racist and old, and we got to get rid of this, and the new crowd's coming in, and the whole enchilada. Looks like your choice for president in 2020 is going to be between two old white guys, which is kind of ironic, especially with the if there was such a resurgence or we're such evil people or so, why is it that everybody's still gravitating on both sides of the political aisle? Because there could not be philosophically. I'm trying to think back. I do not think philosophically there could be two diverse candidates on the opposite ends of this political spectrum, especially if we come down to Trump and Bernie Sanders. Even the Reagan-Mondale one, or Nixon, maybe George McGovern. Mondale and McGovern were pretty far left. Reagan and Nixon were pretty far right, or considered to be at the time. But, man, I think it's a bigger, wider divide going across if this is going to happen, and it looks pretty likely that. Now, the Democratic establishment is just going absolutely apoplectic that Bernie Sanders might win this deal because they're thinking that it will be a wipeout of 1984 like the Reagan-Mondale race was, of a wipeout of epic proportions, 49-state victory. And probably even on the scale, he probably won Minnesota, Mondale State, but Reagan was a nice guy and didn't want to contest it or come up with that, saving Walter Mondale the embarrassment of even losing his own home state where he was senator and vice president under Jimmy Carter for many, many years. So that was a kind of exciting. I guess I should say it would be an exciting campaign. I think the fireworks will go if it's Bernie versus Trump in come November on that. I think, did you get some clips of the rally last night from the Trump had on Joe Biden? Because, man, he's another one. Joe Biden is another. I don't know why the Democrats would want to. They think Joe Biden is going to ride them to the presidency. Man, it would probably be just almost as good a campaign with Trump versus Biden. But Biden, I think, would actually, some of the people in the middle center, would be a little more to voting either way, Trump or Biden on that versus Trump and Bernie. But if you got some of the Trump clips from the rally last night, let them roll. You got one clip ready to...
The other clip you'll have to... Yeah.
Enthusiasm for Biden. I thought he gave up the presidency the other day because he said he's running for the Senate. I looked at the First Lady, I said, hey, he's running for the Senate. And today he just said... Super Thursday. He's looking forward to Super Thursday.
Run that on there. Look for some of the Biden. Just type in Biden gaffes in that. Like the Super Thursday one is absolutely incredible on some of the stuff that Biden. I mean, he's, in my opinion, he's losing it. The guy is, it's not, everybody makes mistakes when you're talking and this and you say something and that, but the gaffes that Biden's doing lately, I mean, I got to give Bernie credit. He's not doing it, and he's probably, I think he's the oldest guy or oldest one in the running right now. And I mean, he's not doing gaffes like Biden. That is not going to bode well for him on the trail, but again, like you say, like Trump, this guy's the most entertaining president on that. Play the Biden Super Thursday.
Join us. Go to joebiden.com. Sign up, volunteer, contribute if you can. But we need you very badly. Every vote matters tomorrow. The most important vote to make sure there's not going to be any problem is that you send back Sheila Jackson Lee as the nominee without any question. That's the most important. Look, tomorrow's Super Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I?
Along that, and did you notice? I mean, he's increasingly, not just that. If you go back, Joe Biden is increasingly slurring his words a lot, and like I say, making these gaffes like that. It's going to be pick up some more. Just put in Joe Biden gaffes. They're all over the place. I mean, people are posting them all over. This way, not that you want to, not that I'm a medical doctor or anything, but this guy doesn't seem like, he's up there, 77, 78 years old, getting up there in age, and like you say, maybe his clutch is slipping a little bit on the enchilada, because man, he just doesn't look, even back in the day, whether, and a lot of the stuff I didn't agree with Joe Biden, but I mean, Joe Biden had kind of a Robert Kennedy, in your shirt sleeves, blue collar union, roll up your deal, kind of tough talker, doing that. I mean, I guess I should say bad imitation of Robert Kennedy of that, where Jack Kennedy was more the statesman-like, Robert Kennedy was more in your face, like I say, blue collar union guy. You'd see him a lot. Like I say, if you go back in the clips of Robert Kennedy, you'll see him a lot in the shirt with his shirt sleeves rolled up, and looking like the common man that I'm for you. Well, Biden kind of has that same, or tries to emulate that same persona a lot, and like I say, like when he was challenging the guys to the fights or whatever on that, he kind of tries to be like a street tough guy like that. But again, like I say, with that, just even in the conversation, he just, even when you were watching him in that on Tuesday, and a lot of the other ones of him, just flag me when you've got some more of the Biden gaffes of. Let's roll some more of these Biden gaffes on there. Tell me what you think.
The voters believe that you can win the national election.
Wrong one. Okay. But as you go through and I've been steadily hearing them, and they've been playing across the board on this stuff. Man, he's just been almost terrible on what he's been doing on the election on that. Good evening, Diane, and good evening, Brandon. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Isaac puts in good riddance to Chris Matthews. Maybe we'll play a little bit of the clip of him quitting on that. There's some interesting sidelines behind that whole enchilada on that whole deal, and maybe we'll play a little bit of that. But I'd like to get Stephanie's take on that maybe when she comes in tomorrow too, because that's very interesting how the whole Chris Matthews thing rolls in on the deal, because again, it's kind of to the point of are we just supposed to be robotic and not say anything at all and just be walking on eggshells all the time? But I think it was really great the way Chris Matthews came in and said, you know what, I quit, I'm out of here, you guys can do the show, you guys can figure this out on your own for the deal. That was pretty good. But no, Biden is on that. We're gonna, Manny's writing in about that. Yeah, you are right about Biden. He tries to be tough guy. He's a chump. Great looking hat. Bye, Chris Matthews, of that. But no, I write in on that. Did you notice that Joe Biden just doesn't look like he has all his facilities with him? He just looks like, I'm not trying to say the guy is got Alzheimer's or dementia or something, but like I say, just from my layman's point of view and my hillbilly, as I'm wearing the cowboy hat, I say his clutch is slipping a little bit on the deal that he's coming up on that, because each and every day you're coming up, and like I say, it's not just once. Everybody's done that. Anybody that's done a lot of speaking and stuff like that, you're going to make a gaffe, or you think you say things that you do and you don't, and it comes out wrong, and that's that's part of the game. You can laugh that off. But when it's a consistent pattern of behavior, this guy might, if he does, and I mean, he's got the potential to get the Democratic nomination. It's probably really down to Bernie or Biden on the deal, and that that comes up on there, but we'll see. I mean, it's kind of disconcerting the physical appearance of that. But I think we got somebody on the line here. Who we got?
Hey, Roy, it's Dwayne.
Oh, Dwayne's calling in. So have you heard any? I've been going on. Well, I played a couple of Trump, but we played a couple of clips of Joe Biden of his gaffes, but even more. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but the guy seems to be slurring his speech a lot, and he just doesn't. If you take the Joe Biden from 10, 20 years ago, vice president, senator, da-da-da-da-da, he had that rah-rah union label, we're going to get out there, charge, yada, yada, yada. Man, he just looks like in my hillbilly way, like I said, I think his clutch is slipping a little bit.
I think he's running into a complete drivetrain failure at this point. I really think the guy. What I'm seeing clinically is the onset of dementia, possibly Alzheimer's, and I'm not saying that to be flippant, but when you look at the disconnect, the lack of mental acuity that's usually associated with what the slurring of speech, the disconnect with reality. He's not knowing what day it is, what city he's in. Now, and I'll try to be as fair as possible, because that's tough. But, being on the campaign trail, it's pretty rough. I mean, people are tugging you here and there. You got managers that, they want you to be here at this spot, and you got to talk to this person on the radio for 5 minutes, and you got to give this interview for 4 minutes, and shit, you don't know where you're at, right? Okay, I get that, but it's become his standard mode of operation.
Yeah, see, that's what I've been noticing. Is it seems like every day there's a Joe Biden gaffe that's coming out that, and again, like I say, the slurred speech and the slurred words. And, like you say, you're just noticing, a different Joe Biden than we're used to seeing on that. And like I said, that's kind of troubling that not only could he be, he's in the mix, and, he could get the Democratic nomination. It looks like it's going to be between Bernie or Biden at this point. And, not knowing we've all seen politics turn on a dime. If Joe Biden... No matter what Trump, and even Bernie Sanders, even with the heart attack and stuff, the guy, you don't, at least I don't have the concern like he's losing his mental capacity on that. And that would be really, really, really interesting.
Well, that's questionable.
Yes.
That's questionable.
Bernie's
out to lunch to begin with.
Well, no, not disagreeing with his policies, but the guy looks like, he looks like he's at least got his marbles to him of not physically being,
right. He's not impaired,
right,
as we're seeing.
It's amazing the oldest guy at 80 can keep up the pace that he's doing.
Yeah, and so the latest I just saw on Drudge Report was that the only thing Bernie won was Vermont, Biden won Connecticut, Alabama, something else. This is Super Tuesday, so you have to look at that. Quick note on Chris Matthews, good riddance. He was probably one of the original partisan hacks from MSNBC that wouldn't know objectivity if it jumped up and bit him on the behind. The guy was always a leftist. He never, the thing I didn't like about Chris Matthews is, unlike Bernie has never claimed to be anything other than a communist. Chris Matthews wrote a couple of books and tried to proclaim himself that he was unbiased and reporting the truth when he was anything but.
Well, I want to stop you right there, because this is the whole thing and this drives me nuts. Everybody's biased. Everybody's got opinions.
Yes.
Even if you were doing the straight, go back to the 60 Minutes days and Mike Wallace and with the microphone in there. We all thought, and that was all like regular news reporting. They had an agenda to go after people, and it was the underlying doing of that. Maybe they do. Maybe it's even getting worse of that. But I don't care who you are, and in most cases, in 98.7% of the time, journalists, whether doing a reporting or they're doing commentary or opinion or everything in between, you can see in most cases the bias or the slant they're trying to put onto it. Now it's becoming more obvious, let's say, in it, as we go on, and like Commodore Carl writes about the the divided area where we're doing this and on that. But I think a lot of the stuff that's going on in that, it's just Chris Matthews is a reflection of our times, not more of because getting rid of Chris Matthews is not going to solve anything either way of how you're looking at it.
Right, no, he's a symptom.
Yes.
The bottom line is this. He's a symptom of poor ratings. And the reason he has poor ratings is because the heretofore previous downtrodden, ghetto-dwelling, lower class has now been elevated to middle-class status. Most of them are working. Most of them have a job. They're off the government dole, and they're looking around going, wait a second. For 50 years, these people have been lying to us, and not just the people on the left. Everybody's been lying to them. But that being said, they're following the guy now that's a businessman that's making good, sound business decisions. Is he the best politician? No. But I think his time, I don't think we have, the timing for Donald Trump is now and has been. He arrived here at the right time, because I think that if you had continued down the road where we were going, we would have been very, very difficult to get out of that hole.
I want to get your opinion on this, because I didn't vote for McCain, did not vote for Mitt Romney, and took a lot of flack from guys on in the conservative center left part. And I talked with Susan Shelley, and she kind of agreed with me, and I don't even know if she supported them or not. But, the neocons were all into that, the Bill Cristols and stuff. You got to vote for Romney, da-da-da, kind of like what you're doing today. It kind of has a twist to this Chris Matthews deal, but I wanted to do that. But she said, yeah, because I said, you know what? If Romney would have won in 2012, you would not have Donald Trump today.
No.
And even as bad as Barack Obama was from 2012 to 2016, Mitt Romney would have been worse, because you would have got the same policies, but you would have dragged all what I call the center, right, freedom, and liberty types to go along with it, and that's what the danger is between these establishment types. And one of the things that's been the underlying, other than the kind of, and not even racy comments in my opinion, but one of the things that they said might have done Chris Matthews in was he was joining the establishment crew of we got to do everything to stop Bernie, kind of like the whole 2016 Hillary Clinton deal was, when Bernie was popping up there and they quashed him, in that, because in an even contest, Bernie would have probably won the Democratic nomination in 2016. He looks even better chance of winning it this time. And there's this, as you can see, the ones dropping out, or all of a sudden, why isn't Liz Warren dropping out? Because they think she's going to be in there to pull support for Bernie, but everybody else has been dropping out. Klobuchar, Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete didn't have any reason to be dropping out of this race at this particular time. But
from what I understood, he had plenty of money.
Yeah.
And he was, see, this is the problem with politicians, and here's something everybody needs to understand. All of those people that ran, okay, all of them were all about making money. And that, big politics is big money. Sounds like we're chiming into the show.
Yes, we're cooking up to KMET here pretty good. So just keep going. We got about a minute or so left.
So, you look at all, Kamala Harris and that whole crowd, they knew they weren't going to win, but how much money did she go away with? That's the
I
thing
don't know.
nobody's
Yeah,
asking.
no, like they say, every congressman thinks they're a senator. Every senator thinks they're president.
They're president,
Kind of the
right.
the whole enchilada. No, in their mind, they really thought that. I think that they thought they could get in there again. Like in a lot of cases, they do run out of money on the whole deal. But in the case, I mean, it's obvious, and that's what because MSNBC, where Chris Matthews is on. With the Rachel Maddow crowd was all, dumping on the Bernie stuff, and there's old Chris over there going, "Hey, wait a minute, let's back this stuff up on that." And then boom, all of a sudden, all the stuff's hitting, and he's gone. It seems like we're playing the same game that Hillary played in 2016, and now they're playing it with Biden because they think, as I said,
the whole point of all of this is a brokered convention, and I told you.
Oh, wouldn't that be absolutely fun?
It'll make your ratings.
Yes, a broker Democratic convention would be absolutely fantastic. That would be a radio talk show host for you. You imagine if there's if Bernie wins the most delegates and he does not get the nomination. The Bernie bots will burn.
Here we go.
We'll burn the place down.
As for the bull gets smooth, Blue Desmond Glenn.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Oh, love that funky slide guitar music coming on as we do every day on that as it fades down. Hear us every Monday through Friday on iNewsWire Daily. Stephanie and Roy bring you all the latest news used not only in the Inland Empire but around the world. So to hear the best coverage on the hottest radio talk show station and show in the Inland Empire, tune us in 5:30 every day at the Mighty Met 1490. We're working on some little promos and stuff, so I'm putting a little gaffs in there so my editing team has something to work on and play with it a little bit on that. But no, that's how you do live stuff on that. For those of you that don't know on that, you put together clips like that and stuff, and then when it sounds on the radio and you see it perfect, that's all the guys like Jesse and Sean back at KMET that put all this stuff together and cut these little clips out and make it sound just perfect on that. Where live radio, as we're doing it right now on the Mighty Met 1490, is that you hear us with all the gaffes, bump of the knees, and anything else that might be coming on that. We've been talking about Super Tuesday, Election Day today. Dwayne's on with us on Skype, coming in from Idaho on that. We were talking about Chris Matthews a little bit on that and some of Joe Biden's gaffes, but we were talking a little bit of how part of it was, part of the deal was maybe over at MSNBC he was getting a little heat because he was actually backing or making the case that Bernie's got to be stopped and Joe Biden has to be the nomination because the Democrats will get slaughtered if Bernie's the nominee. But I think it was really cool the way Chris Matthews came in after they started putting the heat on him. So if you got the Chris Matthews signing off on Hardball MSNBC yesterday, let her roll. Give me the thumbs up when you got that clip ready, Jesse, because I think it was kind of classic the way he did that, is kind of doing that. So roll the clip on. This is Chris Matthews yesterday on his final show on Hardball.
Start with my headline tonight. I'm retiring. This is the last Hardball on MSNBC, and obviously this isn't for lack of interest in politics. As you can tell, I've loved every minute of my 20 years as host of Hardball. Every morning I read the papers, and I'm gung-ho to get to work. Not many people have had this privilege. I love working with my producers and the discussions we have over how to report the news. And I love having this connection with you, the good people who watch. I've learned who you are, bumping into you on the sidewalk or waiting at an airport and saying hello. You're like me. I hear it from your kids and grandchildren who say, my dad loves you, or my grandmother loves you, or my husband watched it till the end. Well, after a conversation with MSNBC, I decided tonight will be my last Hardball, so let me tell you why. The younger generations out there are ready to take the reins. We see them in politics, in the media, in fighting for their causes. They are improving the workplace. We're talking here about better standards than we grew up with, fair standards. A lot of it has to do with how we talk to each other. Compliments on a woman's appearance that some men, including me, might have once incorrectly thought were okay. We're never okay. Not then and certainly not today. And for making such comments in the past, I'm sorry. I'm very proud of the work I've done here. Long before I went on television, I worked for years in politics, was a newspaper columnist, an author. I'm working on another book. I'll continue to write and talk about politics and cheer on my producers and crew here in Washington and New York and my MSNBC colleagues. They will continue to produce great journalism in the years ahead. And for those of you who have gotten into the habit of watching Hardball every night, I hope you're going to miss me because I'm going to miss you. But remembering Humphrey Bogart and Casablanca, we'll always have Hardball. So let's not say goodbye, but till we meet again.
I thought that was kind of like a big middle finger to MSNBC because he just walked into the show yesterday and made that and walked off the stage on that. Couple of points on that, and I want to get into the comments or supposed comments that he made that were supposedly inappropriate. The ones I read, I don't see that are that, is fireable. And if he had been doing these over 20 years, why did they all of a sudden surface now? But I think kind of riding on the underlying part of what he said is the new generations coming in, I think that kind of backs up what I was saying because he was he was saying if you elect Bernie, it's going to be a wipeout. You got to put Biden in there, da 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 da. And he said the new generation's taking over, da 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 da. I'm coming off the stage. That's kind of the way I took that impression. I think he was being forced out for actually being Chris Matthews being too moderate on the scene and not buying into the full communist totalitarian takeover that Bernie wants to bring us and his little merry band of warriors. But what did you take off of that, Dwayne?
My first initial impression was I noticed he used the words reporting the news. I take umbrage at this because they don't report the news. They're infotainment.
Yes.
Okay? News reporters report facts and let you decide. What they did was editorialization of what they wanted. Okay? You can editorialize on whatever you want, but you can't call it news. And that's where these people are confused, is that they think they can call editorialization.
That goes back to my point. There is basically hardly, you would have to dig far and wide to find an actual news report or a newspaper that reports news. It's pretty much all turned into fact or editorializing opinion of pushing my agenda. I mean, there is.
Well, you and I grew up with the Herald Examiner, which was run by a bunch of very hard-nosed, old-style journalist guys that there's no way you could have printed some of the garbage that they print in the LA Times, Chicago Sun, San Francisco. That would have never happened at the Herald Examiner. It just wouldn't. They actually had a very decent paper and got gobbled up. But, even newsprint is morphing into the electronic media. The actual physical paper stuff is gone. That's fine, but people are still reading the stories. And what you see from all of this is, I think the pendulum is going to swing back, and you're going to leave these editorial type shows in the weeds. Because you look at MSNBC, CNN, NBC, all
I'd
of
even
those
throw Fox
programs
in there. Fox is pretty much. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter which spectrum you're on. People might get a little PO'd about it. Everybody's got an agenda. You're correct. They're all. I call them. Even the news is turning into the Jerry Springer, Oprah Winfrey, daytime television entertainment show. It's not. It's there to feed an audience and not give you the facts of what's going on. I mean, name me the dominant news outlet that prints, like you say, like the old. Even in the New York Times or LA Times or Herald Examiner or Chicago Tribune, 247, ABC, CBS, whatever. There is. I'm not going to say
There's one
never.
cable channel down there in San Diego. One America News does a fairly decent job at reporting news facts. They are slightly slanted conservative, but they don't try to color things. And then when they do editorialize, they say, this is an editorial. They don't try to purport it as factual representation. The other one, believe it or not, is BBC. BBC World News does an okay job, not all the time, but they're certainly far better at reporting factual events around the world than the infotainment that you're getting.
Yeah, some of the
Fox,
some of the foreign channels that come on actually sometimes give you a more unbiased news report of the facts that are going on than some of our in the United States ones, and that's kind of troubling to me. And I hope you're right. I'm hoping the pendulum swings back the other way. I mean, I do my fair share of opinion editorializing of doing that on that. But two, I've done some straight just news reports. Here it is. This is the way it is on the deal. And you can do both. I mean, probably,
yes.
There is no, and this is what, everybody wants to put everybody in a box or something of that. But there is no rule that says on this story, like we're bringing you the Norco fire, which is going on there, which seems to be under control. That's a news report. This is what's going on. When we're talking politics or we're editorializing in that, yeah, I'm gonna put my opinions in on it on this stuff. But again, it's not that every day in all these boxes of stuff. But that's the problem. Is a lot of the cases you're not getting in our politics and stuff. You're not getting 100% because I want to get your take in. Find the clip yesterday we had on Mr. Lacey of that because I want to get Dwayne's going to enjoy this. I don't know if you've heard it. Have you heard about the Jackie Lacey, the district attorney situation down in Los Angeles that went off yesterday?
No,
This is great because I want to get your reaction. To set it up, Jackie Lacey's the district attorney for the city of Los Angeles. The Black Lives Matters crew decided since Jackie Lacey was not going to meet with them or hadn't, or their claim is that they weren't, they decided they were going to camp out in front of her personal home and beat on her door and demand to speak with her. So I think you're going to enjoy, and the whole thing in the setup, and I hope you can see the video of it, but the whole thing, so they are knocking on Mr. and Mrs. Lacey's personal residence at 5:30 in the morning yesterday, wanting to do that, and they have their cell phones ready and their little logos in their taping this whole enchilada. So when we get this video set up, and his reaction of this is classic and probably one of the things that we need to discuss and tuning that, and to see kind of how our society, talking about what we've been talking about a little bit, how our society's been getting a little bit, off of this tangent, or we're not doing this, or because I've said it, if we don't stop this kind of behavior, there is a line. Public officials, when they're on the job, on that, or you want to criticize them, but they do have a component of their private life when they go home. They should not be worried about somebody potentially coming up to their door, assaulting them, or demanding to speak to them, on that. Everybody's evolved for their, I don't care if you're the president down to the sewer cleaning commissioner. There's times you're on the job, and there's times, appropriate times to do that. But there's at times when you cross that line, and I believe that these cats cross that line. But what I'm curious to see is your reaction to Mr. Lacey's response coming in on that. So because it's absolutely classic of what's going on that. Do we have the video yet, or what's going on the? Oh, you lost Dwayne on the deal. So do you have the video ready when we get him back? Because yeah, it's going to be classic on the setup of that, and I hope we can get Dwayne back because I want to get his reaction of seeing this for the first time. Because I can pretty much probably tell you what it is, but I don't want to taint it too much on that, as we do that, because I think it kind of ties in what we were talking about of how people are getting just not respectful of each other. And that's what we've got to stop. Everybody can have differences of opinion or political differences on that, of that. So I think we finally got you back on the deal, Dwayne.
Yeah, Skype's wonderful.
Okay, so we got you back on Skype. Hopefully you can see this video coming up of Mr. This is Black Lives Matter at the home of District Attorney Jackie Lacey and her husband at 5:30 in the morning at theirs. So roll the tape.
Right now, get off.
Good morning.
Get off of my porch. I will shoot you. Get off of my porch.
Can you tell Jackie Lacey that we're here?
I don't care who you are. Get off of my porch.
We will get off your
right
porch.
now.
Can you tell
We're
her?
calling the police right now.
Good. Wow. He pulled a gun and pointed it at my chest. We're here for the community meeting, Jackie Lacey.
Jackie Lacey,
Maybe you'll shoot me in the back.
Jackie Lacey will go. Jackie Lacey will go.
Hello, I'm Mark.
So there you go. Were you able to see the video?
Yes, I was.
So what is your reaction to that whole scene? Just let it roll.
That man's going to get arrested and at the very least be charged with misdemeanor battery. Waving a gun around will get you in more hot water than shooting somebody, because that's way against the law. That is beyond carelessness. The guy's not showing good judgment. He's not. I don't see how he was threatened in any way. These people knocked on the door. He opens it. He's got a gun in his hand, and he immediately raises the gun chest level to this woman who's not coming at him. Okay? Now, of course, they'll probably just sweep it under the rug, but if that was you or I, we would be in the back of a cruiser right now getting a felony rap. So
this was my take on the deal. If that was in Texas, and I don't know if they've changed the law, but my understanding of the last time that I checked, in Texas, you had the right to shoot anybody on your property for whatever reason. If they would not, if you told people to get off your property or they were breaking in, you didn't have to do anything to do that. You had the right to shoot him, and then there's a stand your ground laws, all that. I'm saying
the Capsule Doctrine, right?
Yes, I would say, and I said that my opinion first. Those people were totally rude. They were out of place. That was not the appropriate deal, and. Of the case, and this is the one thing, I hate the weather down there like the people of Texas, but that's the one law that I think puts respectability in that, because if you walk up to somebody in Texas like that, Mr. Lacey could open fire. And the second thing, if I was on a jury and that case come up, I would not convict that guy, because I think he was in every perfect right to do what he thought to take care of the threat that was on his home and his family.
So I didn't get the entire context of the situation. I'm seeing from the moment the video rolls, the only thing I'm seeing is a guy with the door already open with a gun in his hand. So what's the context of this?
Black Lives, and you could see up in the top, they are filming it, and it has BLMA, Black Lives Matter LA Twitter. You could hear, like Jesse says, what are they doing? Banging the drums in the background. There's a pattern. they've even, is my understanding or my recollection, that they're even saying after the press conference, we have every right to be camped out in front of her home because to address that, address whatever squirrely stuff or whatever they want to do. And this is what I've said about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the KKK or whomever. They've been using threats like this, and if we allow people to keep using threats like this to back people down on their own home, on their time of that when we're doing, we might as well forget about representative republic or your right to your freedom right, your right to private property rights and everything else, because they were totally not only being rude, that is totally out of character, and that is not the appropriate time to be dealing with that situation.
Right, but being rude is not against the law. Okay? You can be rude, and that's not breaking the law.
Well,
and
trespassing on your property is breaking the law. Correct?
Trespassing is.
Right.
And what you can do is the guy said get off, back up. At this point, there's nobody rushing the guy. Now, whether he felt threatened or not, at that hour of the morning, if that's not it, if you knock on my door at that hour of the morning, you're going to get a similar result, except I'm not going to wave a gun around. That's just kind of silly. But, if you see it, that means I'm going to use it. Okay, that's the rule.
Well, he said, if you don't leave, I'm going to shoot you. And but I mean, he didn't. I don't know. That's when he did, and he finally went back in the house, and he didn't do that. But I mean, of the.
I would like to see more background on this. To see, from the snippet that I'm just going from the law enforcement end of what I've been told by county prosecutors and people that train me on what your rights are when you carry a firearm.
Right.
And in Texas, they're pretty much like Idaho. It's fairly liberal. If you're in the confines of your house, you have every right to do whatever is necessary. Now, that requires, though, that somebody else act. And if they stop at the threshold of the door without coming in, trespassing is illegal. And you can call the cops and say, I want to remove their trespassing, and the cop's going to arrest them. But shooting somebody for trespassing, even in Texas, is probably a stretch. Now, I don't know. Again, I would like to see the context of the entire situation. Are they breaking windows, throwing things? Are they out there spray painting the car, setting things on the front lawn on fire? I don't know these things. So if they were, then yeah, it's going to escalate the situation. Guy's going to do what he's got to do. So I find this interesting and ironic. So this was a Black Lives Matter group filming a black man coming out to them in the morning that they're attempting to awaken because I assume his wife is
She's the district attorney of the city of Los Angeles.
The district attorney. Okay, see, you have to understand, I'm unaware of this.
Yeah, well, I said that like 3 times at least.
Well,
because she's the district attorney. You're correct. She's black. Her husband's black. This is Black Lives Matters. Of whatever beef they've got going on, or they're saying she won't meet with them or address their concerns. First place, the dirty little secret: public officials do not have to meet with you.
That's correct.
I mean,
they're not at your beck and call.
Right.
While they service the public at large,
right?
They are not. You're not allowed to roll up into their office without
even of that, much less their home of doing that. Now, contrary back to like I'm saying of that, just from the respectability, and this is what I'm saying is where I took it and where I took it. My reaction was yesterday. This is what the problem is people are feeling more emboldened of doing stuff like this. And while this situation did not wind up in in him using the gun, somewhere along the line, if this stuff keeps going, you're going to see that, because
Yes.
somewhere somebody's just going to say screw it, and not saying that it's right or legal or anything else, but and that's the what we've seen, like with the Antifa, the Black Lives Matter movement, and this, and we've people have been poo-pooing it. We had the deals in Oregon and up there at Berkeley and stuff where they didn't do anything about them attacking, what was it, Giannis Nanopoulos or whatever the heck his name was up there, of that, and they've been letting this stuff go or telling the cops to back down when this stuff has happened. Now they're in my view, now they're feeling more emboldened to do this kind of stuff, and that's what I see the danger in letting this stuff escalate.
Well, there you go. And this is, if you read your history, this is exactly how communism started during 1918 in the Bolshevik Revolution. This is also exactly how the Nazi Party, the National Democratic Socialist Workers' Party, a.k.a. Bernie Sanders now, this is how they got started. They started by slightly pushing the line back a little bit, and then as they became more emboldened to do so because the authorities would do nothing about it, and they claimed that they were victims, which is what Antifa does. They claim victimology on their side, that somehow because this district attorney won't meet them, that somehow gives them the right to show up on her front door and start demanding her time, and it doesn't work that way. And again, I agree with you. It's going to come to a head. These people that are Antifa or socialists or anti-fascist, as they'd like to call themselves when they're not, are in for a rude awakening, because when the rubber band snaps and the pendulum goes back the other way, Katie barred the door. They're going to find themselves in a very lonely place.
Exactly, and that's what my fear is if we keep letting this go, it's going to, when the powder keg blows, it's not going to be pretty. Thanks for sitting in today on the show, giving your commentary and stuff on that, like that. Again, I think you call Chris Matthews whatever you want, but they're just going to, if we don't stop this stuff, they're just going to replace him with somebody else, or maybe even somebody worse. Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Fun show today. We'll be back tomorrow on Wicked Wednesday with Stephanie to bring you all the fun, frivolity, and news and views that we do each and every day. Like this, you will get nowhere else in the world, and even in the Inland Empire on that. So stay tuned with us tomorrow. Mandatory to be back here in 23 hours as we fade out on the line. See ya.